Hello and welcome to American Wasp with Dieter McBusiness. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, America's favorite white Anglo-Saxon Protestant gone left coastal. Today we have a special guest from DSA Los Angeles who's going to join us in a second. And I am going to let my audience know at this point that I have gotten membership features. So I'm going to start to set up that membership deal and do daily live streams so you guys can keep on up with what I am up to. But more importantly, let's get to the guest at hand, Ed from LA. What's up, my man?
Dieter, thanks for having me. This is
You're
super
very
exciting.
welcome. You're very welcome. This is what the DSA needs to do more of is independent media, and we are here as an example of that today. So thank you for joining me. Why don't you tell my audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from originally, maybe some education, and then when you got into the DSA, and what kind of what drew you to the DSA, and what's keeping you around? Because I know some people get into the DSA, they have kind of a mixed reaction, and maybe move on to another group. But what has kept you in the DSA so far? Maybe so. Tell us about yourself.
Well, yeah, make a long story short, um, after high school, I went to college and eventually dropped out because I was sort of disillusioned with it. And I was kind of like on this sort of weird quasi-anarchist bit. But after, Bernie Sanders ran for president, there was like a lot of energy around that. And I kind of got involved and I sort of liked that kind of energy. And there seemed to be a viable pathway forward. And after that campaign ended, a lot of the people that I'd become friends with were joining this org called DSALA, and I wanted to, um, continue the energy basically. So I joined with
So
them,
this
and
was 20. So this was 2016
this was 2020.
and
I didn't do
2020.
anything in 2016, but I was like sort of on the sidelines. But then when he
Mm-hmm.
ran again, I wanted to get more like close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But
And you wanted to get
yeah,
more involved in 2020, and that's what led you to the DSA. Now, why the DSA? Why not like a tenants union or another like a workforce union if you had that available, or
basically
a
because
million? There's
those
so
weren't
many. I
available
learned.
where I was
Well,
at. Like, long
oh,
story
okay,
short, like in my
yeah,
situation, like I wasn't, a, like I had like, I was working at like Dollar Tree and like that kind of thing. Like there was no union, and there wasn't, a tenants union where I was living at the time either, and that wasn't really something that was on, you know, uh, perspective. And it's also like I wasn't in a position to like start those things because I didn't have the tools. And I think there's a lot of, I think, and this is something that, I assumed every DSA chapter has, but it's like more of a thing in LA. There's like, labor and political education stuff that
right.
can kind of help me become more of an organizer in those situations. But I think fundamentally why DSA is because you don't need to be a worker at a specific workplace. You don't need to be member of a specific building. So,
Right. Um, yeah, because I've realized that since I've gotten into activism seriously for the last year, for the first time really in my life, there are so many groups and so many different causes to get involved with. I just tell people to be really honest with yourselves about what you want to put time into every week and sometimes every day. It feels like the activism now, given the political climate, is demanding that we put as much attention into our activism as we can because there is a pendulum swing that's going to happen, and I want us to be as well positioned as possible to take advantage of that pendulum swing. And maybe that's a good segue into electoralism, because we are both in California and we got a tight governor's race. And I definitely want to talk about Oliver Ma as well for lieutenant governor. But why don't we start with the DSA voter guide that you put together and just give us an idea of how important that is and how much work goes into it?
yeah, no, this is, you know, This was a project of like necessity, and it was definitely a classic organizer's tale where, as a sort of like newer member, I was really impressed by this PDF that the chapter would put out during every election. And I would like message the chapter leaders like, hey, like, we're dealing with a 70-page PDF here. Like, could we get like a HTML version, Because I would be, talking to people in different neighborhoods and sometimes be like, well, who do I vote for state assembly? And I'd have to like think for a long time. Oh, wait. West Hollywood is in which state assembly district? And it became sort of a quest to you got three tabs open now just to tell someone how to
Right.
vote, because they called you out of the blue because they saw they liked your Facebook posts 5 years ago. I say this is a recovering prolific shit poster. Um, so essentially, there needed to be a solution that was like faster because even if you're a dedicated DSA member, you have to look at your ballot, see your district number for state assembly, state senate, Congress,
Right.
whatever it is, then look at that number on the table of contents, click down, read through the whole recommendation, and then you get to the last paragraph where it actually says what it is, and then you click back to the top, and then you go to the next one, and then you kind of look through the table of contents again. And it just seemed kind of frustrating because like nobody's really printing this thing out, I don't think, and it's like there's like beautiful artwork and stuff, but it just seemed like not the best system. There was a computer science guy, and forget, I apologize to whoever he is out there, but there's some computer science philosopher type of guy, and he was saying, like the computer was so great because we liberate ourselves from the tyranny of the edge of the paper sheet. But what do is we just bring the paper inside the computer.
Right.
And I wanted to basically kind of liberate us from that a little bit and create something that was actually designed to be operating
Can you search?
on a
Is it
computer.
searchable?
Yeah,
Like,
it's searchable. It's so
yeah.
it's searchable.
So that's the
What's
most important thing to me. Just hearing about it.
so yeah, it's searchable from like off the top. Like you can just type in a candidate name or office name or a
Good.
number for a district, and that'll immediately pop up. And it's like a full text search. So if one office is mentioned in the text of another district, that'll pop up in the search results too. But I think the killer feature of it is the geolocation, and this is something that is really exciting because DSA is a tech company now where we have
Right.
something that nobody else has. But the idea is that there's basically all kinds of voter guides, but they all have to be generalized for statewide or specialized for a municipal election. But the thing about ours is it's geocode. So wherever you are, whatever location that the user puts into the map, that's the ballot items that they're going to get, which is going to save a lot of time because, frankly, there's a lot of, I think, for nerds like me, very interesting reading in this document, but there's definitely also a lot of people that do not want to read the whole thing, and this
Right.
is
That's
going to
what
be
I'm
able to
saying.
get them the answers
Dude,
really
ninety
quick if
percent,
that's what they want.
90% of people don't want to read. Aren't going to read the whole thing. They just want to know where their races are. So that geolocator thing sounds awesome. That's really cool. You know what the ultimate solution here is, or the next the giant leap that we could make as an organization in terms of our tools would be a DSA app. And that would connect chapters, and you could have a million features that you and I could come up with right now about how it would just strengthen, the Discord stuff can only take you so far, the signal chats can only take you so far, but
I was going to say
but
I got
what
like
about
5 DSA apps on my phone. None of them, I don't use any of them.
right? So there should be one that national runs that has like that media stuff that we've been talking about, um, as well as the voter guides, as well as like a Rolodex if you want to chat with members from different districts. Because that's the thing that I learned, or one of the things that I learned in school and in the private sector and so forth, is that learning from other people's experience is just as valuable as learning from your own personal experience. And it saves you all the trouble of having to go through that shit. So, yeah, my big advocacy is stronger connections between the chapters and the DSA. That's what I
Yeah.
think the missing piece is from an organizational perspective.
Yeah, and I think if I can get on my soapbox a little bit here, I had the
Please.
pleasure of being a I had the pleasure of being like a national delegate here, and if I can say, I think this was last year in 2025, and I was really disappointed because we had the opportunity to implement one member, one vote, which I
Mm,
think is the single most important thing that we could do as an organization to connect regular members to the national org as opposed to just letting regular members vote for a delegate once every 2 years that then gets to vote on what the national org
right.
does.
Represent their
There's
interests.
no
Yeah.
reason. There's no reason for us as Democratic Socialists of America to replicate a system that is basically the equivalent of the United States Senate in a thing. We should have one member, one vote. We should allow the NPC to do straw polls. I don't understand why that's illegal or whatever. So yeah, we have some work to do on ourselves as an organization. But overall, I think it's like you know, at least for me, someone who wasn't involved, wasn't working in a unionized workplace, wasn't in a tenant, organized building. This was like sort of the ticket, and I think there's a lot of sort of good energy, particularly in New York and LA, as far as like actual material wins from electoral gains that we
Hmm.
can kind of hang our hat on.
Isn't, but wouldn't the convention be more like the House of Reps because there's proportional representation? Like there's a ton
Well,
of LA delegates, whereas there's
there.
only
Well,
two
okay.
from my chapter.
The thing is like the overall participation. This is going to turn into a big chapter versus small chapter, but like the overall like um, I think small chapters like they get like one delegate or two delegates,
Yeah, we
even
got
if
two. Yeah,
I mean, but the ones that are basically inactive chapters, they still get one delegate, even if
right.
they maybe have one meeting a year and like 15, 20 people show up.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And
Yeah,
it's
I see
like,
what I
and,
see
well,
what you mean.
it's not that it's not cool. I'm not like trying to say this to shit on them. Like they have work to do, and I encourage them to keep doing it. I don't want them to
Yeah,
give up and like stop existing.
sure,
I just
sure.
want, those same 25 members in LA to get the same vote because
Right.
land doesn't vote. Like people vote, members vote, and like I don't think that it's it's this isn't. I think we're like there's a thing that we have in like national politics where it's like, oh, Alabamans just are so different from Californians, but we're all working class people, and I think we could work this out together. And I think there's like sort of this protectionist mentality that frankly, um, there's sort of a limitation for bigger chapters as far as like the representation, and there is kind of a boost for smaller chapters. And I think like I just don't think I think we can. I think we should be able to do member polling. I think in 2026, it's a technology thing where, back in when that bylaw was written in the 80s, they would have had to do like some kind of phone poll, which like maybe not even everyone had a phone back then, and would have cost a shit ton of money to conduct the poll. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think we can like,
Sure.
look into a different thing. But I think it's like also like, yeah, we want to like make sure that like these the organizing takes place. And I think like I don't know, and I think I just feel lucky because in LA we have a really strong administrative committee that
Yeah.
like carries through stuff
Yeah.
from other chapters or from the past to the future. And I think that's something that I would want to see other chapters set up. But then it's also like other chapters like right here that are almost in the LA metro area, like Long Beach chapter, Orange County chapter, Ventura
San
chapter,
Diego's just force.
Sandy. And I wonder, could they be like more efficient if we just had one administrative committee for the big thing? But I get it. Like Long Beach
So
people
it's
don't want
interesting.
to
It's
commute
interesting.
up to
We're
downtown LA to have their meeting. But I also think there's like here in LA, we've also developed like branch structures where we have
right.
almost like a chapter
I heard
within a
about that.
chapter.
Yep, we're doing that. We're
So
doing that. Hmm.
yeah, and that's something where you can kind of get the best of both worlds, where people can go to a local meeting instead of having to go to like I don't want to say a national meeting,
Chapter,
but a
right,
chapter wide meeting. You have to go
right.
downtown.
200 people.
And, I think there's also things that can be implemented, like a robust proxy vote system. So we can have, participation,
Hey, man, add it to the
you know,
app. Add it to the app.
Well,
Um,
I have a little. I actually have a little a proxy vote thing. Can you show screen? I mean, if you want to pull it up, I'd love to give people a little tour of the
sure. Let me
voter
bring it
guide.
up. What's it called?
Voterguide.dsa-la.org.
Voterguide.dsa hyphen
la.org.
la.org. Stand by. Here we go. Okay. What do you want to highlight?
Well, I think so. I think most importantly is our six endorsed candidates right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
They are Marissa Roy for city attorney. City attorney is kind of like one of the most powerful citywide positions in the city of LA, in many ways more powerful than the mayor. And Marissa Roy wants to sue ICE, and she wants to sue landlords that are doing illegal evictions, which is going to be a huge change from our current city attorney, Heidi Feldstein Soto. Eunices Hernandez is our endorsed incumbent in District 1, so we're trying to re-elect her, which is really interesting, to sort of try and like hold on to power instead of fighting to gain it. Um, and then that's the same with Hugo Soto Martinez on the bottom there, longtime organizer with Unite Here. And then Faiza Malik is running on the west side. She's a tenants' rights attorney. Estuardo Masariegos is in South Central District 9. He's a housing advocate with ACE, which is Alliance for Californians for a Comfortable Economy. That's not the right acronym, but yeah, he's a housing organizer. And then Rocio Rivas is another incumbent on the LAUSD school board. Um, but yeah, basically, we wanted to make something that could like kind of display all this stuff cleaner because we
Yeah, it looks
didn't
great.
have like really like the photos in there, and it was just like a PDF. If you scroll to the top there, you could see the artwork
Beautiful. Yeah.
on the
Great
left
stuff.
side, like that's like the cover of the PDF basically document, and it's just a little bit of a way to like do it. If you want to try to do a geolocate, or like take a look
Nice.
at the map, that might be helpful. So yeah, this is another thing.
Let's go to where I used to live.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. You could see when you hover over district, it'll show the candidate's face. So basically, if you click on an area in here, it's going to show you the races for your location that are on the voter guide. So you clicked inside the city of Santa Monica.
Right.
So we don't have any recommendations for that municipal race. So what the first thing that came up was LA County wide there. So that's going to basically be your county sheriff and your county judges and that kind of thing. And yeah, if you hit the little play button right above your mouse there, it'll kind of take you on like a tour of your different districts. So right now on the county, it should switch to the what is that? The Board of Equalization, which the Board of Equalization is like a really interesting thing. It's like a whole nother, you have the state assembly, state senate, and then the Board of Equalization is like another district. District 3 is just LA County,
This is
so it's kind of
amazing.
weird. Yeah, but it basically is giving you a tour of your different like gerrymandered districts or whatever. So right now you see your state senate, there you see your state assembly, and like how different those are. But you can kind of pinpoint the one location when within that. See, here's your U.S. Congress.
Congress, right?
Um, so the point is to kind of give you like a tour of your different things. And then it also has this area right here is non-contested. So this is your county supervisor district, your Santa Monica at-large city district, and of course your DSA LA branch, West Side branch represent. Um, Basically giving you information about where districts you're in, even the ones that like aren't on the ballot. Just because I kind of had to like, in order to do the geocoding, I had to like gather all this data anyway.
So you did this
And
all yourself?
I mean, I had some help from Claude, which you can call me out if you want, but
No.
um, I I definitely had to do a lot of thinking work myself. But yeah, I used Claude to help make this thing happen. But yeah, basically, I had to download the GeoJSON, which is like the polygon, the shape file from the counties and the cities all around, and basically can put those all into one sort of database file. And then there's this open source app called Leaflet, which basically lets you kind of display them on a OpenStreetMap map, which is what you're looking at right now. And
Awesome.
yeah, just kind of building up this sort of like tour of your different districts, I think is going to be really helpful. It is helpful because I use it just when I'm canvassing people and when I'm talking to different voters. It really makes life a little easier. And then you can also like hover your mouse over the little pills in the drawer right there, sort of on the top right. Those are the layer switches, so you can like switch on the different layers. Like if you want to see different
Yeah, let's see
um,
Congress. Let's see
yeah, you can
Congress.
you can see. But if you want to see like different ones at a time, you can do that, and you can turn them all on and totally like make the map a complete mess if you want to. But um, yeah, like it's definitely um, it's definitely been a fun thing. Like one thing that I'm really stoked on is how the map can like show our territory. So you see that San Bernardino district that's hashed out. It has the kind of diagonal marks on it.
Yeah.
So that is an endorsed district in the Inland Empire.
And
Um,
something our listeners and viewers might like to know is that a DSA endorsement is very hard to earn. You can get a recommend fairly, with some good effort, but it takes a strong effort to get a DSA endorsement. So it's a big deal when it happens.
yeah, and then I have like some explication also about that, like the difference between recommendation and endorsement on the homepage. Um, but yeah, no, I would encourage people to like check out the map, check out your location, and I think this is cool because if someone in Ventura County says, "Oh, who do I vote for?" You can just send them this,
Right.
and
This is beautiful. No, this is amazing. Is New York? So you're doing this. San Diego's doing this.
so
Who else is doing this?
I'm doing it for California, and I just grabbed Long Beach and Ventura, San Diego, basically any chapter in California and Cal DSA, of course, that made a voter guide. I just grabbed all their data and stuck it in here
Hmm.
because I have the all the districts basically. I had to get like the San Diego County districts,
This is
but
amazing.
like basically it's not too hard to like download the different district JSONs because most of the cities make those available online, but it's just a data file. But once I can download it, it's really easy to like integrate it into the system here, and it's
Hmm.
just a matter of like putting it on the right layer. So if I'm adding a San Diego City Council, that's going to go in the City Council's layer with all the other City Council districts. If I'm adding San Diego County Supervisor or San Bernardino County Supervisor, that's going to go in the County Supervisor layer with all those districts. But yeah, just kind of like trying to like keep it tight as far as like
Well,
that
I mean,
goes.
the
And
good
then
news,
yeah,
the real the long term value is you've already like every state can do this,
yeah,
and
and I'm it's
and
not
every state should do
yeah.
this.
Yeah, it's not, and I want to stress this. I'm not open sourcing it because I want to keep it for DSA. So,
Yeah,
if any other chapters, like if you're a leader in a California chapter, just like we'll, I think we're gonna like just integrate it into the DSA guide, DSA LA guide uh, for now. But
no, I'm talking about like
maybe
two
next
years.
cycle
I'm
it'll
talking
turn in.
like yeah, like
Yeah,
2 years, like 4 years, like
I think
it'll
we can
grow
do.
over
What I'm
time.
trying to say is I think we can do it by state. Like New York
Right,
State DSA
right.
can have one for their whole thing, and I guess there's folks in New York that are looking at this that want to integrate it, but that's going to be a big job because they don't have like county supervisors. They got like borough presidents and a whole other like
System.
structure of that
Hmm.
I would need to kind of like understand before I could rebuild the layers. But it's
Well, I don't
you
think
know
you should have to do it for New York. I think you just give New York the template and then they build it on their own.
I'll give them. I want to give them a little bit of support because it's like I definitely want to make if I can modularize it for them, then it's going to be something where I'll be able to develop the documentation where I'll be less involved if, Chicago or Atlanta DSA wants to use it down the line because I'll be able to kind of like, okay, well, I need to teach people how to get the GeoJSONs. I need to, I'll be
Sure,
able to
sure.
kind of like make that. So I want to provide as much support as I can. Just total DSA side quest maxing. But
Nice, man. Well, we're lucky to have you with this kind of. I mean, I know it's a capitalist term, but entrepreneurial spirit. Like you're taking a project on your own and saying this needs to be done. I know how to do it, so I'm gonna fucking do it. I mean,
yeah, and
not yeah, it's not an average membership here that we're talking about for DSA. You are not an average DSA member. You contribute far more than your weight.
I appreciate that. And I think it's funny that you say that because, like, yeah, the other thing I do that's like sort of like, um, y- entrepreneurial is I do like a DSA band. Like, we're not all DSA, but we have,
Oh, that's cool.
I'm a band leader here in LA, and we go out and play gigs and stuff, and it's I'll joke about it with people. Oh yeah, it's the DSA band, when, like, the reggae, as if we had the freaking reggae working group or something. But
Yeah,
it's definitely like kind of like an entrepreneurial thing. We're going
yeah.
out there, we're like making deals with these different venues, and we're securing this thing, and like, yeah, we'll have someone come out from the chapter and sell chapter t-shirts instead of our own merch, so we can put
Well,
money in the thing. But like, we're also kind of like making a little bit of putting some money in our own pocket on the side too, which I think is like, um, you know, maybe somebody doesn't like it, but I think we could have that conversation. And I think
you have
most
no,
importantly,
you have
our
no.
goal
Your
is to
time,
spread the
dude.
word,
You're
through
yeah, but
music
you're
and everything.
you need to get compensated. Like entertainment. So for those who don't, I worked in Hollywood for a while, and I did the producing thing, the acting thing, the stand-up comedy thing. I've always respected the hell out of musicians because it's something I can never and will never do. Um, but it's exploitive. Like the whole world of live performance is extremely exploitive
Oh, it's
from
so
at
bad, dude.
at every level
Don't
because
even get me
people are
started.
people are desperate. People are desperate for the exposure. People are desperate for the opportunities. That's why Ron Placone apologized for being part of like the Jimmy Dore contingent. And I was like, dude, you don't need to apologize for that. You were a desperate artist looking for exposure. There's that attitude of you take whatever work you can get whenever you can
Yeah,
get it. I mean, it's just like people who haven't lived it don't really know that level of desperation, and so it gets exploited. But the thing
I
that I
could tell you
wanted,
stories.
oh, I'm sure, no, I'm sure it's everybody who's tried the performance game um, can really relate to it,
Yeah,
and I mean,
and without getting into my own
yeah,
trauma, I think that's
sure,
part of the reason um, that's part of the reason I started, analog assembly, the DSA band, is because I wanted to kind of like make a music project where we weren't like doing it like that, where it wasn't just all about like, um, one person exploiting other people to make their vision happen. We could actually, like, I wanted to try and like do something that was like truly collaborative and truly like for a greater purpose. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that
no,
is kind
it's
of salient as far as like what it is, but it also is kind of like upstartish and entrepreneurial and kind of like
so.
grabbing it by the.
Right, dude. If okay, so if DSA had a media apparatus, this would be the kind of thing that it would be featured. Like, why do other chapters not know about this? Like, I talk about it in one of my essays how the left has all the artists. Like all of like art is about empathy. So it. Oh, you gotta go. Oh, we lost him. Oh man. Well, that was a good chat with Ed. It sounds like he needed to go, so I'll give him a minute or two to come back if he wants. Um, and did you need to go? Let's get to some chats. ABS Anonymous Bastard. Did you guys see the 2025 election autopsy released by the DNC? Sure did, and it was an absolute joke. I absolutely hated it. Um, well, I didn't even read it. I mean, I just watched commentary on it, but I'm not surprised that a guy like Ken Martin produces that product. Ken Martin is soft. He is weak, and I think he might be a little stupid too. I think he might be a little thick. And I don't want to do ad hominems all the time on this chat on this. By the way, Ed is going to be coming back in about 5 minutes. But yeah, no, the autopsy was half-assed, and it didn't mention Israel, Gaza. It didn't talk about a number of different things. It was an unsurprising result of a very flawed institution in the Democratic Party. Yeah, Latina Mafune. There need to be more voter guides from the left that are easily accessible to the public. This is great. Yeah, what we were talking about earlier. Scroll back and check out the voter guide if you want from LA. It's awesome. Um, and more chapters need to adopt that format. So, anyway, we'll give Ed a few more minutes. Fire up the chat, guys, if you want me to talk about anything. For now, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on according to the New York Times. All right, we got. Oh no. Why is this up? No, here we go. Tulsi Gabbard resigns as intelligence chief. That's good news. They'll probably put in someone who's even more psycho than her, though, so that's not a good thing. The Mandalorian and Grogu Baby Yoda talks takes the silver screen. Oh, nice. Here comes Ed. All righty, Ed. Hold on a second, buddy. All right. No, it's okay. Your audio isn't working though, so you got to do that thing again.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear
There
me?
you go.
Yeah.
You're good. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to pick up on that you were alluding to, which is like if capitalism, people who are going to defend capitalism would defend entrepreneurs. They would use entrepreneurs as their primary piece of evidence to suggest that capitalism does produce new ideas, innovation,
Hate it.
creative problem solving. So
Idiots.
what would your response to that be?
To these absolute fools. Well, let me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
You're going to go out and start on your business. You're going to more likely to do that if you got your own healthcare plan.
Right.
Your healthcare plan's attached to your fucking boss. Are
Right.
you more likely or less likely to go on your own? If you
Right.
have a mortgage, you know, where you're, underwater, and you got a $30,000 repair bill,
Here we
'cause,
are talking
you're
about
making,
desperation again.
like you're, well, I mean, like you can't afford to, to keep your own house together if you're owner,
Right.
if we have universal housing program, doesn't that free up a little bit of your uh, money to do what you want?
Start a business.
And I just think that, like, I don't know, it ties back to what Karl Marx was talking about. I want to go fishing in the morning, I want to play reggae music in the afternoon, I want to write Python scripts at night, but I don't want to be a fisher, a reggae musician, or a coder. I think that's what Karl Marx said. But, like, basically, we want to our labor gets so, like, monotonized. You have to spend 8 hours a day doing one thing, so that you don't, you can't, like, devote the mental energy that would require to do, the other thing, fix your car, repair your, siding on your house, or whatever it is.
Spend time with your kids.
Spend time for your kids. So you have to basically pay someone else to do that. And it's like, on certain levels, like, that can be a really good thing because you can scale up with efficiency. But on other levels, that can, like, hold us back and tie us down and sort of, like, prevent us from, like, becoming, like, the fullest, most well-rounded humans, like, possible. And I think, like, you know, um, there's a certain, like, spirit of, like, um, like, true freedom that, like, I think can only happen when we have, like, just
Basics.
our
Yeah.
basic needs met. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's really not that complicated, but, like, it's also, like, there's a negative, like, that's, like, sort of the positive way of looking at it. But, like, living, here in LA, there, unfortunately, there's, like, a housing crisis, and there are, like, street homeless around, and it's like, like, there's plenty of people that, like, love capitalism that are like, oh, but I'm scared to walk around because of the homeless. Well, it's like, doesn't
That's a
that mean the
product of the
system's
system.
not
Yeah.
fucking working? Like,
Right.
doesn't that mean like the
No, they
socialists
been
aren't
taught.
making homeless people? It's the fucking landlords, you know? Like, I don't know. Like,
But
so
conservatism has been such a part of our culture since 1980 that they think those people are lazy bums who deserve their fate.
yeah, and it's like, I think,
Go somewhere else and get them out of here. They say throw them on a bus and ship them to Bakersfield. That's what they
well,
would want to do.
I as a recovering lazy person myself, I think, if your only option to be productive is to make a rich person richer, that's not going to
Right.
be. I
No.
didn't ever want to do that. But
No.
if I
That's
can
why
be
I left corporate
productive for
America.
if I can be productive for socialism, I I'm gonna jam on it. Like
Right.
I'll be working 12-hour days. And because it's like I feel like I'm really contributing to something that's gonna like not just make a rich guy richer, but actually benefit like you know my party, my org, my and future generations of humanity. So I think there's definitely like an aspect of like uh, when we're in a for-profit society, everything kind of becomes purposeless. And there's a big, this ties into like in-shitification discourse, which I think is like really important to talk about. If we're going to talk about like tech products and like coding and development, that's like a huge problem because like 90% of like development and tech is just like building something that's really cool and then like making it shit and sticking ads onto it. And like, I don't know, like, that's not something I want to do. But
Sure.
yeah.
Well, so a couple of responses. One is you did something in your response that is always smart for leftists, and leftists watching this should adopt is get people on policy like healthcare and housing because you just can't lose. The the results speak for themselves. We've had 45 years of either conservative capitalism or neoliberal incrementalism, neither of which has produced what FDR's dream was. I know FDR is problematic and imperfect and flawed, but we were on our way as a public conscience to redefining the relationship between government and citizen at that point. And then obviously he died. We didn't get his second Bill of Rights. We dropped the bomb, and then we're in the Cold War. So that was the crucial pivot point at that generation. And then the next generation, though, really, I just did an essay on this, and we won't spend any time on it. But the election of Bill Clinton in 1992 was really kind of the straw that broke the camel's back with respect to the Democratic Party still representing a positive relationship between government and citizen. And what the concession was ideologically is that preserving the possibility of getting rich is more important than providing the masses with the basics. And that's all consistent with what you were just talking about. And so I try to put things in a little bit of an historical context so that we can get past this propaganda that started in the 80s and continued and took new and different forms in the 90s and led to ultimately what I think the disappointment of Barack Obama was just the forces that had been established in the 80s and 90s were and through W in the aughts were so strong that he just couldn't overcome them. And it's a tragedy. But getting back to the entrepreneurialism, and I think the DSA or just self-proclaimed socialists, we could do a better job of making sure. Like, I love your response. The only constructive thing I would offer is that we would start with, we don't want to hurt small businesses. We love small businesses. We love people going out and starting and to make a living, coming up with good ideas, especially when they constitute solutions to public problems. Like, that's kind of where I would go. Like, if I were freed up with healthcare and housing and didn't have to pay for that shit, then I would be searching for like the macro problems. Like, what are like that would be my passion. So that would free me up. And that's another word that you hit on that I think the left could hit more and more frequently and stronger is freedom. Is like, if you have to pay a debilitating amount of money for rent, health insurance, cell phone, yada, 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 and you're going into debt every month, a little bit more every month on your credit cards, you're not free. You're a slave to money.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's one of the main like things that I think is like it's a fine line that we got to walk here. I think we want to like it's frustrating because like these obviously as we're recruiting working class people, we don't want to be like you're a slave, even though like it's like we're not, it's an exploitative condition, and I think like these are sort of like difficulties of like kind of communicating the message. I think like another one is like like small business is like of course like there are small businesses that like solve like such crucial problems.
Right.
There's other small businesses that are like super exploitative and don't
Hmm.
really innovate at all. So it's like
Yes.
it's not like a blanket like I don't. it just it's very it can be very like difficult to like articulate these things, but like it's also just like something that is um, not too hard to understand. I feel like if you understand like the sort of class relationship and that like ultimately again in capitalism like we're situated where we have a state that's like focused on protecting capital and not protecting working class people, and that's
Right.
obviously not the way it should be. But like, it's we're the only ones that are going to be able to fix it, which is like God help us. But yeah, we gotta keep doing the best we can, and like again, it's like media plays a role, but it's really like I have no idea, you know, how far it's going to reach. And like ultimately I think a lot of times it's that two-way organizing conversation like that's real in person that is like how these things build up.
Hmm.
And Jane McAlevey, rest in peace, would talk about not taking a shortcut. And I think there is this sort of like temptation to use media as a shortcut, where it's like it plays an
Yes.
important role, but it
Yeah.
can't we got to avoid looking at it as a shortcut, because ultimately, um, like leadership isn't like a one-way thing. It requires like that back and forth, and like it's there's just it's a big challenge because we have a message we got to get out, but we also need to listen to people.
Well, I mean, the sense of community comes with in person interaction. I feel like the East Bay DSA does a great job of having like coffees with comrades like every weekend. And they have, socials every month, and they have political education every month. And so that's kind of in line with the established modus operandi of the DSA, which is to be the foundation for that personal community. I just want to build on that and strengthen the connections. It's kind of like how your brain works. How smart people are doesn't have to do with the neurons in their brain. It has to do with the connections, and that's what the next level I'd say is just is that stuff. And we still have regional and state meetings. It's funny, but that you bring up the one member, one vote issue, because that wasn't a huge talking point for our relatively small chapter going into the convention. But I hear what you're saying. I think that, and I didn't have a strong opinion about it, but I understood the argument for what ended up winning, which is the delegates vote. Um, that not all members are created equal in terms of their commitment to the DSA, but and not all members really know what's going on or take the time to read the different things that you vote on. So I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying. If the technology enables the system that you're proposing, I'm just not as deep into the structure of the DSA to appreciate, you know, the different
I feel like a
arguments.
lot of the people in Chicago weren't either, to be honest. I mean, at least they didn't appreciate what some of the folks from smaller chapters, and I wish them nothing but the best, but they were not very appreciative of the work that we've done to build the chapter here in LA. And yeah, it definitely felt kind of bad. I think um, there's just a lot of like, the problem with convention is it happens once every 2 years,
Right.
and we don't even have we set an
We
agenda,
never
and
get
then
we never get through a third of it.
yeah, and it's sort of like not like if we can't even get through that agenda in the weekend that we have, it basically we vote for NPC, and then
Right, and then
NPC
they
kind of
take care
has
of
to
it.
they have to like kind of like guess
Yeah.
what we would have voted on, and it's sort of like NPC, like unfortunately it is like sort of voted on like caucus lines, and yeah, it's not really I think there's going to be folks that are like kind of marginally participating. I don't expect everybody to be like a person that wears like a DSA shirt every day like I do.
Yeah.
I didn't wear it today, but I kind of think also like there's certain elections that are like more important than others. Like if we're going to vote
Sure.
to endorse AOC to run for president, that's something that we should all vote on, not just the NPC. And I think um, you know
Yes.
we want to have a certain thing where the NPC can make certain decisions. I don't think we should vote on everything as members. I don't think we should vote on like, is this design appropriate for this national campaign? Like, are we going to hold the convention in Chicago or in Atlanta? Let the NPC decide that stuff. Like, are we going to hire this person? Like, of course, I don't want to vote on that. We'd be voting 10 times a day, and I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be perfectly honest here, but there are certain things where it's like the NPC should at least be allowed to do that. And I think what was particularly frustrating in Chicago is that there was two different one member one vote resolutions, and without going into the weeds, the first one of them was just quashed by the chair, like on partisan lines. Like he didn't even let us vote on it, which was crazy. Um, but the other one did get voted down, and it felt like it was mostly it felt like it was basically all small chapters voting no because they were like, oh, the big chapters are going to overwhelm us. But I don't think that's what anybody from big chapters like wants to do. We don't want to like overwhelm the small chapters. I think we just like have these electoral programs that we want to like keep building on, and like we want the small chapters to be able to like do that too.
Yeah. I think there should be a system where they can um, throw the vote out there for certain issues. I
Sometimes,
mean, that we are into the democratic process. That is kind of our identity, and I totally but we can get creative with that process and decisive with that process, right? Like no one's gonna have a problem with the NPC deciding where the next convention is and dealing with all the logistics and bullshit for that. We don't need to have votes on that. We don't need to have votes on tweets. We can have
of
one,
course.
two, three people that run the Twitter, and the same for the Instagram. We can because speed matters,
Yeah,
and nobody really ever talks about the slowness of a lot of the democratic process, and it does take time. But to your
yeah,
point, with technological tools, we can make it really efficient.
yeah,
So I think if the version of what you had proposed, what you articulated, had been proposed, it would have been way more popular. But here we are again at bad communication.
yeah. Well, that was a problem when we couldn't get the voter guide done in 2022. Is we were letting members vote on every code change.
Right. Oh Jesus, that's a lot.
No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
a lot. Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, exactly. No,
but
no, no,
you can
no.
imagine.
Well, oh yeah. So when you said code, I was thinking of like institutional code of conduct or something like that. You were talking about like computer code and stuff. Yeah. Well, yeah. We got to let people do what they do, right? Um, all right. Well, I know you got to run soon, but
Yeah.
is there any other things that you want to touch on before you go, or any kind of messages to my fans before you go?
I want to tell your fans to join DSA if you haven't joined yet. Um, Run for national delegate. Join your chapter's leadership if you haven't yet. And then, I think if you are in chapter leadership, be sure to, if you're in California, make sure you appoint delegates to Cal DSA. Don't sleep on it. Please, looking at the San Francisco chapter. So yeah, I think there's a lot to do. There's a lot of building we can do, and absolutely solidarity forever. I'm really glad, Dieter, that you're making this podcast here, and I hope that we can, you know, we need, like I said, media is not a shortcut, but I think we need to keep growing media, and I really appreciate the work you're doing, and I would, hopefully look forward to coming back one day. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, to plant a seed with the audience, just so you know, we're going to try to have Ed, we're going to try to have Ed join us on primary night, which is June 2nd, Tuesday, June 2nd. And he's going to be at a party in LA, strap his gear on, and try to join us. I'm going to be live with Stat Pat Stateless Patriot on Left Coast Live, my usual program. And then we're also going to have someone that my audience might have heard of named Secular Lefty, who is an election geek, and he goes through all the different congressional races and really provides a good survey of the landscape of Congress, which is what the mainstream media should be doing. But instead, all they do is focus on 1, 2, or 3 stories max per day, and they recycle those. And that's a huge problem with media. And that's why another reason why I think indie media is a great opportunity for the progressive left to kind of create a national network of activists and other community leaders like union leaders and community organizers and so forth. So when I talk about media and stuff like that, I just want the DSA to be the glue. I want us to be the glue for a lot of other organizations as well as individual chapters, because we could learn a lot from DSA LA. We just did in this stream, that voter guide.
Thanks.
Like that's something to aspire to. So
And
thanks for your
vote.
time, Ed.
Don't
Thanks for your
forget to
time.
vote, everyone. Sorry.
Yeah, don't forget
Don't forget to
vote.
vote.
And we like Tom Steyer for governor and Oliver Ma for lieutenant governor. Those are the big names that we'll drop at the end. Thank you for watching. Please never forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely. And as always,